The Arizona housing boom is not slowing down, it is reversing. And the data coming out of the first quarter of 2026 is the most alarming since 2011. Here is what most people still believe. Arizona real estate is the safe bet, the market that never stops. That belief is now costing people serious money in 10 specific cities, and if yours is one of them, the next few minutes matter. We are counting down from 10 to 1. The worst is at the end. Number 10. Surprise, Arizona. The name aged poorly. Surprise sits in the northwest valley of Maricopa County, about 25 miles from Phoenix along the Loop 303 corridor. Population around 145,000. It was exactly what the pandemic buyer wanted. Zillow Quarter 1 2026 shows the median price down 12% year over year. Redfin shows days on market climbing from 18 days at the 2022 peak to 61 days today. The problem is not demand, it is builders. New construction pipelines approved during the frenzy are still delivering homes with 2 to 3 point mortgage rate buydowns and full closing cost coverage. A resale seller in Surprise is competing against a brand new home with an incentive package they cannot match. No amount of fresh paint fixes that math. If you are a resale seller here, you are in a price war with new builds, investor-owned rentals converting back to for sale, and a buyer pool that has leverage it has not had in 3 years. What happens when a city bets its entire price structure on a commuter lifestyle that buyers quietly stopped wanting? Number 9. Buckeye, Arizona. For 3 consecutive years, Buckeye was the fastest growing city in the United States. That turned out to be a warning, not a trophy. Buckeye sits along Interstate 10 at the western edge of the Phoenix metro, population past 120,000. It was marketed as the last affordable frontier of the valley. Realtor.com shows the median price down 14% from the 2022 peak. Active listings have climbed above 2,400 with an absorption rate exceeding 5 months. Healthy markets sit at 3 months. But the number that explains everything is this. The median household income in Buckeye is approximately $58,000 according to the U.S. Census. At the 2022 peak, the price-to-income ratio reached 7.4 times annual income. Healthy markets run at 3 to 4 times. Buckeye was running at nearly double the safe threshold, and the buyers propping up those prices were remote workers importing California salaries. When return-to-office mandates hit in 2023 and 2024, that income base left. What remained was a local population earning $58,000 trying to service mortgages built for $95,000 earners. Buyers in Buckeye today have genuine leverage. Use it on price, concessions, and closing costs simultaneously. Buckeye inflated on a premise. The next city inflated on a promise that has not shown up yet. Number 8. Casa Grande, Arizona. Casa Grande was being sold as Arizona's boomtown. The market priced that in before a single factory was fully running. Sitting at the junction of Interstate 10 and Interstate 8 in Pinal County with a population around 60,000, Casa Grande dominated Arizona economic headlines for 2 years. Intel, TSMC, and Lucid Motors were named again and again. Investors treated it like a land play priced for future growth. Zillow, first quarter 2026, shows home values down 11% year over year, median now around $310,000. Redfin data from March 2026 shows 38% of active listings carried at least one price reduction before generating an offer. The cause is straightforward. Prices were bid up on the promise of future jobs, not present ones. When semiconductor timelines slipped 12 to 24 months behind projections, the speculative premium evaporated. The underlying economy, warehouses, and agriculture never justified prices above $340,000. Investors who bought the story are now selling the loss. Before making any offer in Casa Grande, verify actual hiring timelines against press release timelines. The gap between announced and operational is exactly where this city's equity went. Casa Grande sold a story. The next city has a story too, and part of it is showing up in Arizona DPS crime data in ways buyers are starting to notice. Number 7. Avondale, Arizona. Avondale is 15 minutes from downtown Phoenix, sits next to a NASCAR track, and has a violent crime rate 42% above the Phoenix metro average according to the Arizona Department of Public Safety 2025 annual report. It is a West Valley city of approximately 90,000 people along Interstate 10 between Phoenix and Goodyear. Historically, it has been one of the more affordable entry points into the metro. Zillow shows the median price down 10% year over year. Average days on market have stretched past 70 days. When a buyer with a $350,000 budget compares Avondale against Goodyear at $380,000, the department's data makes that $30,000 gap feel like the cheaper option. Real estate is not purely rational. Safety perception drives buyer preference, and Avondale is consistently losing that comparison. For investors, the crime data hits insurance premiums, tenant quality, and long-term appreciation all at once. The discount is real, so is the reason for it. The next city's problem is buried in a document most buyers never request until it is too late. Number 6. Queen Creek, Arizona. Queen Creek sold Southeast Valley luxury and forgot to mention it sits on a water supply the state of Arizona cannot guarantee. Fast growth town of approximately 75,000 along US Highway 60 and State Route 24 near the Pinal and Maricopa County line. It attracted the premium tier of pandemic relocators, buyers who wanted acreage and newer construction. Zillow shows the median price has fallen from approximately $685,000 at the 2022 peak to approximately $530,000 in the first quarter of 2026. That is $155,000 in erased equity on a single home. 19% of active listings carried at least one price reduction, according to Realtor.com in the first quarter of 2026. Parts of Queen Creek sit outside Central Arizona Project municipal delivery infrastructure and rely on private water companies drawing from depleting aquifers. The Rio Verde Highlands shutoff in 2023 established that Arizona municipalities are not obligated to supply unincorporated developments. That precedent is now a formal line item in buyer due diligence here, and it is showing up in the price. If you are buying anywhere in Queen Creek, request water provider documentation and long-term allocation status before making an offer, not after. Queen Creek was supposed to be the affordable escape valve from the Phoenix Metro. The escape valve now costs $530,000 and has a water table sophisticated buyers are scrutinizing like a balance sheet. If the water situation just made your stomach drop, good. That means you are paying attention. This channel surfaces the data that agents are not legally required to volunteer. If you have not subscribed yet, the next 4 cities are where the serious money is being lost. Hit subscribe. Let us keep going. Number 5. Goodyear, Arizona. Goodyear was the West Valley's answer to Chandler, and builders treated it like a hole they could keep filling indefinitely. The West Valley city has approximately 105,000 residents along Interstate 10. It is a spring training home, built as the upscale alternative to its neighbors. Redfin first quarter 2026 shows inventory up 88% year over year. The median price is down approximately 13% from peak. Maricopa County assessor records show property tax burden increased 18% after 2023 reassessments. Builders approved aggressive pipelines in 2021 and 2022 based on demand projections that assumed permanent remote work. Those homes delivered in 2024 and 2025 into a market where remote workers had returned to offices and investor yields had compressed. The 88% inventory surge is not organic growth. It is a supply wave hitting a beach that ran out of buyers. Sellers need to set the 2022 comparable aside entirely. It is not a data point anymore. It is a memory. Goodyear built too much. The city built its identity around a lifestyle assumption that stopped being true, and the sellers who figured that out first got out before the rest of the market caught on. Number 4. Maricopa, Arizona. Maricopa posted a 16% median price decline from its 2022 peak, the steepest in the greater Phoenix statistical area. And the reason is sitting in your rearview mirror on State Route 347. Pinal County's largest city has a population of approximately 75,000, and it is located roughly 40 miles south of downtown Phoenix. The town was built almost entirely on the premise that buyers would accept an extreme commute in exchange for dramatically lower prices. ATM data for the fourth quarter of 2025 shows the distressed and pre-foreclosure share of inventory rising quarter over quarter. Average days on market have stretched to 74. Maricopa has no significant employer within city limits. 95% of employed residents commute to the Phoenix metro area on a two-lane state highway with no alternate route. When return-to-office mandates arrived in 2023 and 2024, the marginal buyer, the remote worker willing to trade commute pain for square footage, evaporated. What remained was a city with no economic engine and a housing stock priced as if those remote workers were never leaving. Buying in Maricopa today is a long-duration bet that remote work returns as a widespread norm. Model that risk honestly before you sign anything. Maricopa's crisis is about a premise that stopped working. The next city is being hit by something that started outside Arizona entirely, and it has changed who can actually afford to show up as a buyer. Number 3. Prescott Valley, Arizona. 31% of sellers in Prescott Valley had to cut their price before generating an offer. That is a market where what sellers think their home is worth and what buyers will pay are two consistently different numbers. High desert community of approximately 50,000 in Yavapai County, elevation around 5,100 feet, cooler summers, ponderosa pines. It is the signature destination for California retirees escaping urban density and heat. Zillow first quarter 2026 shows the median price down 13% year over year. Arizona Department of Insurance data from 2024 and 2025 shows multiple carriers reducing coverage availability or withdrawing from Yavapai County wildfire risk zones entirely. California home values corrected significantly in 2023 and 2024, and that directly reduced the equity extraction capacity of Prescott Valley's primary buyer pipeline. The California homeowner who would sell at a gain, extract $500,000 in equity, and arrive as an all-cash buyer in Yavapai County is arriving less frequently. Simultaneously, a buyer who cannot secure standard homeowner's insurance in a fire risk zone cannot close a conventional mortgage. That is not a soft headwind. That is a hard barrier between a willing buyer and a completed transaction. Run insurance availability as a precondition before making an offer here, not as part of the closing checklist. The fire risk in Prescott Valley shows up in premiums and carrier withdrawals. The next city is dealing with something harder to insure against and impossible to escape for 4 months every year. Number 2. Yuma, Arizona. Yuma gets more than 4,000 hours of sunshine per year, more than any city in the United States. Right now, that is not a selling point. It is a liability the market is being forced to price. A city of approximately 100,000 people in the far southwestern corner of Arizona, Yuma is anchored by agriculture, Marine Corps Air Station Yuma, and its position near the California and Mexico borders. Zillow, the first quarter of 2026, shows the median price down 17% year over year, one of the steepest single-year declines in the state. Yuma County public health data from 2024 shows heat-related mortality among the highest in Arizona, with 95-plus days annually above 110 degrees. Bureau of Reclamation data shows Arizona's Tier 2 shortage declaration triggered additional cuts to the Central Arizona project from the Colorado River, and those cuts hit Yuma's agricultural economy directly. Arizona Public Service rate schedule data extrapolated to Yuma's climate zone shows summer cooling costs running $400 to $600 per month. You close on a home in April when it is 78 degrees. You move in. July arrives. You step outside at 8 o'clock in the morning and the air feels like a blow dryer set to high. The listing photos were taken in February. There is a reason for that. Buying in Yuma is a long-term bet on water policy, climate adaptation, and military base permanence, factors mostly outside local control. The low price point is real. Model your carrying costs on August, not April. Everything about Yuma is explainable. The number 1 city has no geographic excuse, no climate story, and the most alarming single data point on this entire list. Number 1. Coolidge, Arizona. The median home price in Coolidge dropped 21% in a single year. That is the steepest year-over-year decline recorded anywhere in Arizona in the first quarter 2026. Coolidge is a small Pinal County city of approximately 14,000 people, located along State Route 87 between Phoenix and Tucson. There is no major employer and no tourism identity. It landed on the speculative map because it was cheap and because it is adjacent to the semiconductor corridor growth story. The U.S. Census shows median household income at approximately $41,200. At the 2022 peak, the price-to-income ratio reached 7.1 times annual income. ATTOM data fourth quarter. 2025 shows the foreclosure rate running at 3.4 times the Arizona state average. Here is what that spiral looks like in practice. Over-leveraged investors who never intended to occupy these homes begin exiting. Forced sales pull comparable prices down. Lower comparables trigger appraisal failures. Failed appraisals kill closings. Dead closings add inventory. More inventory creates more price pressure. More pressure forces more distressed sales. The next round of appraisals comes in lower. This is the same mechanism that produced the worst local collapses of 2009 to 2011, now running in a city most Arizonans could not locate on a map. If you are holding investment property in Coolidge, the window to exit above distressed pricing is narrowing with each quarter. If you are a buyer attracted by the discount, understand that you may not be catching a bottom. You may be catching a falling knife in a market where the appraisal on closing day comes in below your offer from 3 weeks earlier. A 21% decline is not a market sending mixed signals. That is a market that has made a decision. The pattern across all 10 cities is the same story in different dialects. Prices ran ahead of what local incomes, local water supplies, local heat, and local employment could actually sustain. The corrections are not random. They are happening precisely where the gap between narrative and reality was widest. Arizona is not collapsing, but knowing which side of that line your zip code sits on is one of the most important real estate distinctions in the state right now. Is your city on this list? Does what you are seeing on the ground match what the data shows? Leave it in the comments. This channel covers Arizona real estate and relocation risk at the zip code level, not the headline level. Subscribe and stay close. The companion video about which Arizona cities are holding value in 2026 is linked right here.